Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I want to take a look into the future 2028 presidential election map, looking at where the Democrats and Republicans both start out. Republicans right now start out with about 219 electoral votes. Democrats start out with about 211. And to get more specific, I have about 159 electoral votes for the Democrats that I think are essentially untouchable. These are coming out of the states like Washington, California, Hawaii, Illinois, Massachusetts, New York, Connecticut, states of that nature. On the Republican side, I have about 121 electoral votes that I think are untouchable for the Republicans that the Democrats won't be able to win. These are places like Utah, Oklahoma, Mississippi, Alabama, places like that. Then I have some electoral votes in the likely category. This means that I have the Republicans or Democrats winning them by more than 5% at the margin of victory, but less so than 15% of the margin of victory. These states would be somewhere between being competitive, but not as competitive as like what a toss-up state like Michigan would be. These are like, if everything broke, maybe one or two of them would be able to go into the opposite party's column, but I wouldn't really be expecting it. These are states like for the Democrats, like Colorado, New Mexico, Virginia, New Jersey, Oregon. These are places that the Republicans may get close, but I'd be very shocked if the Republicans won them. Then on the flip side, states that Republicans have this, like Florida, Texas, Iowa, and Ohio, these are states that I'd be very shocked if the Democrats won this. And then I have 108 electoral votes that I currently are calling battleground. These are the states in 2028 I expect to be the most contentious and places that are going to be the closest in 2028. And I'm looking at this video for the topic of today's video, and obviously you can't ignore the news right now, what's happening with the stock market right now. President Trump's announcing tariffs and reciprocal tariffs on a lot of countries, and that's causing the markets to be really, really scared right now. And just for full transparency, I was in college, I'm a political science major, so I'm not an economics major. So if I say anything wrong or incorrect about the market or anything, please tell me in the comments below. I'll be happy to admit that I was wrong if I get any information wrong. But looking at where things are looking right now when it comes to the stock market is currently sitting at, according to the Dow Jones Industrial Average, 37,965. And over a max year period, this is going back to about 1985. So this is pretty much since they started tracking this on the Dow Jones. So that's obviously very, very good. Now we start getting a little bit closer. Let's look at the last 5 years. It's up a little bit. There's less up percent-wise, 37,965. Okay? But you can still see it's gone up, and now it's starting to go down in the last few weeks, and then the last few days, it's really gone down. For comparison, it was at 41,985 and 35 cents, or I believe that's how they do it, on March 21st. I'm recording this video on April 7th. It's down now to 37,965. A massive drop in that period. When you zoom in a little bit more and looking at for the last 1 year, the drop gets even more even more big. It's down 927.20 minus 2.38% over the past year, the stock market is. When you want to go over the last 6 months, it's down 9.51% over the last 6 months. 1 month, it's down 11.30%. So, and if you want to get really technical, you can go to the 5-day, it's down 9.35. In the last day, it's down about 0.91. So the point I'm making here is everyone's freaking out over the stock market and over the tariffs that President Trump has put on a lot of countries. So for the purposes of today's video, I wanted to look at this through a lens of what would the 2028 election look like if the hypothetical scenario happens where the tariffs continue to hurt the stock market and things don't recover. Because this is really sort of uncharted territory that we don't know what's going to happen here. Obviously, the market is really going down right now. And again, this is just my own opinion. This isn't like a economics major opinion or something. This is my opinion, where it looks like the economy and the market's doing really bad in response to these tariffs. The question will be, 3 years from now in 2028, will the market respond and get better over the next few years? And will the Republican Party and Donald Trump respond and approval numbers go up, stay the same, or go down? That's what I'm trying to figure out for the purposes of today's video. Today's video is a scenario where what happens if the tariffs continue to hurt the stock market and things never really recover? What would that look like? And I pulled up some examples because I think the one that first came to my mind was what happened with the stock market drop in 2008, the market crash. The stock market lost 50% of its value. Now, the stock market right now is also much higher than it was back then. According to Google, when I looked this up, it dropped about 777 points, the largest single day point loss in its history at the time, and dropped over 50%, going from 14,164 down to 6,594. Now, it'd be massive speculating here, but right now the stock market's at 37,000 or almost 38,000. I don't think it's going to drop down to what half of 37,000 would be. If I'm doing my math correctly here, I believe that would be something around like, what would that be, about 19,000 or so, kind of in between 18 and 19,000. I don't think it's going to drop that much, but if it did, that would be an absolutely cataclysmic drop in the stock market. But if it continued to drop a reasonable amount, what would that mean for 2028? And this is where my more realm of knowledge comes out. So as I mentioned, I have Republicans and Democrats starting out about 219 to 211. So the Republicans have an electoral vote advantage of about 8 electoral votes for 2028. But that really doesn't matter all that much because with 108 electoral votes, that gets taken up very quickly. Remember, for the electoral map, you need to win 270 electoral votes to have a majority of the electoral votes and for you to be elected the next president of the United States. And for today's video, I'm just looking at generic Republican versus generic Democrat for the example. All these toss-up states, even though they are toss-up states, there is some that we do have an idea of how in all likelihood they would go. So for the state of Minnesota, for instance, Kamala Harris won it by 4.2%. And if you look back at 2020, it was won by Biden by 7.1%. So we have a pretty good idea of how it would go. It was lean Democrat in 2024. If the stock market is doing bad and still bad in 2028, I think a likely Democratic win for Minnesota is certainly possible. The state of New Hampshire, I think, is also similar. The state voted for Harris over Trump by about 2.8%. And then in 2020, it voted for Biden over Trump by 7.4%. So it's voted lean and likely Democrat. I think it's very, very possible for 2028, if things are going bad on the stock market, New Hampshire could still probably be a likely Democratic win. Or if not, maybe a lean Democratic win. But that puts the Democrats up to 225. Republicans are at 219. Now we're getting into the states that are really, really important when it comes to presidential elections. And I'm talking about the three Rust Belt states, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. These three states have become essential to any Republican's pathway to victory in the presidential race. Donald Trump won Pennsylvania by 1.7%. He won Michigan by 1.4%. And he won Wisconsin by only 0.86%. So the biggest win across any of these states was 1.7%. And for reference, when you look at the popular vote of the United States, Trump got 49.8%, Harris got 48.3%. So when you do the math, Trump won the popular vote by about 1.5% or so. What if that number shifts to something like it was in 2020, where Joe Biden won the popular vote 51.3%, Trump got 46.9%? What if it swung that much? Or if not, if 2020 the votes were much higher, maybe it was an outlier, we can look at 2016, where the Democrats, Hillary Clinton got 48.2%, Trump got 46.1%. 2012, Obama 51.1%, Romney 47.2%. What if the Democrats, because of the stock market, were able to win the popular vote by 3 to 4 points again, like they did in past elections? What would the map look like? Well, immediately my mind would go to these three Rust Belt states. Wisconsin being the least Republican of the three in 2024 would mean that it could possibly go Democratic by more than 1% of the vote, probably under 5% of the vote. I think even if the stock market continues to do bad, I don't think it's going to be a blowout election like it was in 2008 or even 2012, because I think the way that elections are in America now are a lot more polarized, and both the Democrats and Republicans are really passionate about supporting their party no matter what. So I don't think a blowout election like 08 or even 12 is really realistic anymore, but a night where all the battleground states break for one party over the other, kind of like what we saw honestly in 2024, is something that's still very possible. So Wisconsin, I think, could definitely be lean Democrat. Along with the state of Michigan. because Michigan was the second most Republican of the three Rust Belt states for Donald Trump in 2024. But don't forget, in 2020, Joe Biden still won the state by 2.8%. So I do think it has the potential to swing back between lean and tilt. Wisconsin was tilt for Biden in 2020. It was tilt for Trump in 2024 and tilt for Trump in 2016. So the trend would be Wisconsin should be tilt for 28. But in this scenario where the stock market is doing bad, I think there is a way Wisconsin does get over that 1% threshold. Then we have Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is fascinating. It voted for Trump by 1.7% in a very, very close 2024 race. In 2020, it voted for Biden by 1.2%. In 2016, it voted for Trump by 0.72%. So this one is voted in a lean characterization for two presidential races in a row. Again, if the stock market continues to fall and does not recover by 2028, it's very conceivable to see Pennsylvania going lean Democratic. And then what happens? Well, the Democrats are then at 269 electoral votes. Republicans are at 219. Well, that means the Democrats are one electoral vote shy of winning the presidential election. So which state do they have to win? Well, that's the thing. Technically, the Democrats in this scenario would not have to win any more states. This district right here in the state of Nebraska, I believe this is where Omaha is, very fast-growing area. It has trended actually a lot towards the Democratic side in recent elections. It voted for Harris by 4.7% in 2024. In 2020, went for Joe Biden by 6.6%. And in 2016, it went for Trump by 2.2% with a lot of third-party vote. Back in 2012, it went for Mitt Romney by about 7.1%. So this district has started to trend towards the Democrats a lot in recent years, so much so that I would even start it as battleground, but I'd feel more comfortable putting it as lean to likely Democrat in the scenario to start off. And if the stock market is doing bad, this would probably have it starting out as likely Democrat. So with the stock market, if it continues to fall, the Republicans won in 2024. President Trump won every single battleground state of Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. But I don't think we really take time to stop and appreciate how close these elections really were. Because when you look at the electoral map, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, and Nevada were all settled by under 5%. All under 5% margin of victory. Arizona was a little bit over by 5.5%. Minnesota and New Hampshire were also under 5%. So all the really close states were really close in 2024. And if something drastic were to happen, like, the stock market falling pretty drastically and everyone being freaked out, if something like that were to happen and not recover by 2028, it would freak a lot of voters, a lot of swing voters, a lot of moderate voters, a lot of independent voters. It would freak them out and probably make them vote against the party in power in Washington that was either caused that market drop or is going to be responsible and get the blame for that market drop. In this situation, Trump is to blame for the stock market dropping. It's not like it just happened out of nowhere and that it didn't really mean to happen. The reciprocal tariffs is what caused the drop. So Trump and the Republicans in D.C. would squarely get the blame for that. So that would put the Democrats at 270 to 219. Then we're looking at other toss-up states that a bunch of them went for Joe Biden in 2020. So we saw the state of Nevada vote for Donald Trump in 2024 by 3 points. It voted for Joe Biden by 2.4% in 2020. Arizona went very narrowly for Biden over Trump in 2020 by 0.31%. Georgia went 0.24% for Biden over Trump in 2020. A lot of these states swung back to the Republicans a lot in 2024, but I still think in this scenario, Nevada being lean Democrat, Arizona being lean Democrat, and Georgia being lean Democrat, I certainly think is possible and conceivable of happening. So this would put the Democrats at 303, Republicans at 219. Then we have the state of North Carolina, which even in 2020, Donald Trump still won the state by 1.3%. It's been a lean Republican win in every election except for 2008, where it went for Obama by 0.33%. But in this scenario, again, where the stock market is doing so bad and really hurting itself, I think it is conceivable for a battleground state like North Carolina to maybe be till Democrat. So the 2024 election, that was a very impressive win for Donald Trump. No doubt about it. He won every single battleground state that was up in 2024 in a very impressive manner. In 2028, if the stock market situation does not recover for Donald Trump and for the Republicans in Washington, 2028 could be the complete opposite of 2024. when after the 2024 election, the Republicans were riding high. They felt that they're going to win every presidential election from now on, and the Democratic Party is essentially done. If the stock market continues to do poorly, 2028 could be the flip of that, where the Democrats rise up and they have a resurgence. They win a very impressive blowout election in 2028, where again, the states are close, where like all these states are under 5 points, but the margins in which they win in terms of the electoral votes, 319 to 29 to 219, looks like a blowout. And then the Democrats are the ones back in charge saying, we're never going to lose again. Everything's going great. And the Republicans of the party going, well, what do we do now? So this stock market situation, I don't think we really understand the gravity of it right now because we're still in the moment of it, but this could have huge historical implications for the future of the United States in terms of, do the Republicans or Democrats represent us going forward, depending on how the situation plays out. We're probably not going to realize it until the situation does play itself out and either the stock market and the economy get better or get worse. But this scenario for 2028 where the Democrats blow out the Republicans because the stock market falling so much is certainly very, very realistic and possible if the stock market does not improve. I hope you enjoyed this video because I thought this was an interesting topic and a policy-driven area that obviously I really don't delve into too much on my channel. So if you enjoyed it, leave a comment below telling me what your thoughts are about it. If you really enjoyed it, make sure to leave a comment saying, look, I enjoyed this video and you would want more videos like this. If you didn't, please, if you could, let me know some feedback why you didn't like it or what I can improve for videos like this in the future. If you really enjoyed the video, though, make sure to click subscribe to my channel and tap the bell icon to get notified when I post a new video. I post 2 new videos every single day at 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that you're not going to want to miss. I try my best to make the best videos I can for you, so I hope you enjoy those videos. That'll do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video.